So yes, I decided to sell my shares of AT&T. And this comes for a number of different reasons, and it's not a decision that I made lightly because it was the biggest holding in my portfolio. And so a lot of people were commenting on the video I released yesterday. What are my thoughts around the AT&T? What's going on? Are you going to be holding? Are you going to be selling, buying more? What are all your thoughts around it? And to be honest, I was kind of buying myself time to do a little bit more research to fully understand the extent of the decision. And though I'm not one to normally sell on the news or buy on the news or panic or anything, I thought right now it would be a decent time for me to recognize some of the profits that I had from AT&T and sell out of the company. Now, that doesn't mean I won't buy back in the future. It doesn't mean that they're a bad company. It doesn't mean that you need to panic and sell all of your stocks right now. I am just some random guy on the internet. I'm not a financial advisor. You want to do your own research when it comes to your investments. But I'm going to be talking about the 5 different reasons why I decided to sell out of AT&T, and I'm using that money elsewhere for the portfolio. So reason number 1 comes from a video I saw from Jim Cramer. And basically, he was saying why shareholders should be upset with the decision that AT&T made. And I'll have that video linked in the description so you guys can go check it out for yourself and see how you feel about it. But one of the main points that he really drove home was sort of the dishonesty behind management with AT&T. When I invest in companies, one of the big criterias for me is feeling comfortable with the management style. You know, understanding that they have the shareholders' best interest and understanding that they're honest people and ethical about the ways that they handle the company. And so it wasn't too long ago that AT&T said to their shareholders, you know, the dividend is safe, everything's looking good, there's nothing to worry about here with the company. And we know that these types of deals are in talks for a long time, and it's not something that happens overnight. So, as a sound investor, you would think that, you know, the dividend and things of that nature would stay relatively on the course and wouldn't change all that much. And so now what we're seeing is that management is going back on their word and changing things that they said in the past weren't going to be the case. So that kind of sums up reason number 1 and leads right into reason number 2, which is, you know, the dividend yield is being cut. It's not being completely removed, and, you know, it's not something that you necessarily need to freak out over, but it's just another reason that adds to my list. When you look at AT&T over the past, 5 years, for example, you're going to realize that the chart, it trades sideways. What this means is the price has been relatively stable. There hasn't been much fluctuation. And with that, the return hasn't been the highest it can be. Now, what you do notice is that the dividend yield makes up for this. A high dividend yield, you're still making some decent money, even though the company is relatively stable. And so you take away that dividend yield or you cut it back, maybe it's going to be low 4%, which is relatively high for the industry, I suppose. But still, it's not going to be a very high performing stock of that nature. So that's just another reason why. I mean, it kind of mitigates the return that you're going to get on it. And I just feel like, again, allocating that money elsewhere might be something that could be used in a better manner. And so looking at reason number 3 here, it's just not fully understanding the direction of the company. Now, I could wait for more news to come out before I made this decision, but to be quite honest, I think the price of AT&T may continue to drop in the future, and ultimately I could pick up shares at a lower price if I still believe in the company. Now, I don't necessarily know exactly where they're heading, but branching off of Warner Media, I really liked the numbers that they were seeing from HBO subscriptions. Things were starting to ramp up, and I thought the company was starting to turn it around. Obviously, this wasn't the case, and hopefully this new kind of merger with Discovery is going to be able to turn that stuff around. And so just not fully understanding, where the money is going to be headed, where everything is going to outlook for AT&T in terms of how they're going to operate, what they're going to focus on. Now, my assumption is this is actually a good move for AT&T because they're going to be able to focus on what they do best with telecommunications. They can focus on 5G. But the only problem I see with that is the nature of the industry in itself, because a lot of these towers, a lot of these things that produce the 5G, they need a bunch of maintenance to keep up. And so though it's smart that AT&T is being able to relocate some of their debt, they're getting it off their balance sheet, I still don't necessarily know how they're going to dig themselves out of their financial hole. Now, on top of that, obviously a big model for AT&T is their telecommunications, it's their service and everything going on in that nature. I think there's a lot of new up and coming companies, and by that I mean a lot of these companies that are offering cell service and things of that nature at a really great deal. Things like Mint Mobile, which is a company that I talk about all the time on this channel. It's actually the cell phone service that I use, and it uses T-Mobile towers, but it allows you to pay so much less for a phone service. And so they have a completely different model. There's no in-store locations. It's online. And I think that companies like that are really innovators in the space. I would love to see AT&T take notes from some of these other companies in order to reestablish their business. And honestly, they could dominate the market in my mind if they were able to do that successfully. Now, they haven't really hinted at branching into different ways to cut costs and figure out how to service better. So for now, I think that taking a step away may be a decent decision for me. Now, what's really interesting is shareholders of AT&T are going to get around 71% of this new company that's created. Now, this new company has not been announced yet, the name of it, or really a lot of information behind it. But what we do know is there is massive amounts of debt that it's going to be taking on. But what's cool about it is that, we already know its competitors, Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, things of that nature. And what's interesting is this new service is going to have a lot of those channels, a lot of the movies, things that these other programs don't have access to. And so what I like about this new company that's going to be created is the rights that they have, the rights to Harry Potter, the rights to Game of Thrones, and there's a lot of great shows that they're going to be able to build upon and hopefully entice enough new viewers to subscribe to the service. The food service, the Food Network is one that a lot of people actually want to have access to, but Netflix and these other places, these other companies can't actually offer it. Well, this new service will be able to provide that. And so it'll be interesting to see their business model, how they decide to shape up. And they have a lot to go off of because they can just look at their competitors and see what works for them. But again, is the space really needing yet another streaming service? So to me, it's just more of a clouded area of not knowing much about this company, not understanding where they're headed. You don't even know management for it or anything like that. And granted, you could hold on to your shares and just wait, get access to the new company and make a decision from there. But seeing as they're taking on a lot of debt, it just doesn't make sense for me right now. So ultimately, what it comes down to for me is how I can actually utilize that money going forward. If I left my money invested in AT&T, is it going to benefit me or is it going to affect me negatively? And in the short term, especially, I think that selling off is the right decision. Now, you guys know that I'm a long-term investor, and all of this could completely bite me in the butt, 6 months from now, a year from now, what have you. But for right now, I'm very comfortable with the decision that I've come to. I think there's a lot of other stocks out there that I can allocate my money into that is going to give me a solid return. And there's a lot of companies that I've wanted to get invested in open positions, and this frees up some capital for me to do so. Now, at the end of the day, the decision is completely up to you. What I'm looking at in a nutshell is I don't like how management handled this. I don't like that we're seeing this dividend cut. I'm not entirely sure where AT&T is going to be allocating their funds, what they're going to be doing moving forward. I'm also not sure of the direction of this new company, what the layout of it is going to look like, and how I feel about them. And then again, I just think that my money could be used elsewhere. Not to mention, I don't even use the AT&T service. I don't use HBO. I don't use their cell towers. I don't use much from AT&T at all. So I just think that, as an investor, I like to invest in the products I use, the services that I use. And again, the way that I can handle my money could be in a little bit better of a manner. And so I just want to say thank you so much for checking out this video here today. If you guys have any questions, if you decide to hold, sell, let me know in the comment section. I'd be eager to hear. Thank you again for checking out the video and have a great day.